And welcome back. This is a continuation of our tutorial series on Session and the Witty Library. What we have here is a project that's called Session 2, or you can call it anything you want to call it. I have one called Session 1, but I didn't want to use that name again. So what I have is a project that is called Session 2, and I want to show you how you can set up your project so that we can inherit from the Witty application class. So that we can actually use session information in our web app. Also, you can also inherit from a Witty label. I won't just demonstrate that today, but again, as we go along in this series, I will show you how you can inherit from a Witty label or a Witty button or just a Witty container widget. If you do that, you can also store variables that'll hold session state in your application. So let's go ahead and get started. What we have here is the kind of application that we have been using so far. We need to make a couple of changes to our CMake list file so that we can see this classes directory that has been in our application. So far I have not added it to our project, but I need to add it now so that we can add our header and our source file to this folder. Kind of like for it to be a little bit more structured. So in CMake, if you want to set a variable, which is what we need to do for our directory, we use the set command. We're going to call this classes, and then we need to get the CMake source directory. And basically, the CMake source directory is basically your project directory. So this right here, this CMake source directory, is basically your projects directory. So you're referencing the projects directory. And then we need to get the source directory that's in our project directory. And as you can see, if you look at this, this is the source directory right here. I really don't even have to write this out. I could just get access to this variable. But I want you to see what this looks like. So now we have the source directory in our projects directory. And then we need to go one more level and get the classes directory. So that defines this variable that'll hold the classes directory for our project. The next thing I want to do is access the file command, and this actually allows you to add source files to your project, at least in our case. So what I want to do here is, again, access the CMake source directory or our projects directory. I'm going to type this out. Access the source directory and the classes directory, and then we're going to access any source files that we put in that directory. And that's basically all the changes you need to make. Just to reiterate, we've added the classes directory, and we've added the sources that'll be in the classes directory. And one last thing we need to do, we need to add the classes directory to our project so that the compiler can see it. So we look at the include directories command, and we add that directory, the classes directory that we defined in our classes variable. And in order to access the variable, you just give it a $sign and put curly braces around it. So that basically adds our classes directory. And now we are done fooling with CMake list.txt. You really don't have to do this if you don't want to. Like I said, I'm going to create a template for this, but this just gives you an idea and how you can actually make changes. So if you want to do multiple directories, you just define the directory name and a variable for your project. You go ahead and add it to include directories via the variable you defined, and then you can add the source files with a .cpp or whatever extension you want to use. It could be .cc if you want to use that, or .c, and then basically you're done. So let's close this, and that adds that for at least for CMake. And I'll see you in the next tutorial on how to actually set up the header and the source files. Bye bye.